Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Triangulation is brought to you by Cashfly at CACHEFLY.com. This is Triangulation, episode 111, recorded July 17th, 2013. Amy Critchett and Mark Pauline. Triangulation is brought to you by Shutterstock.com. With over 26 million high-quality photos, illustrations, vectors, and video clips, Shutterstock helps you take your creative projects to the next level. For 30% off on your new account, go to Shutterstock.com and use the offer code Triangulation7. It's time for Triangulation, the show where we get interesting people, some of the best minds in the entire world, to come sit down with us and talk. And this is a special one. This is a Triangulation episode I've been trying to put together for years, literally, because we've got two very interesting people. Mark Pauline of Survival Research Labs, SRL, Dangerous and Disturbing Mechanical Presentations since 1979. And there you go. And his wife, Amy Critchett, who is an old and dear friend. We worked together at Tech TV.
ZDTV.
It was ZDTV.
Yes, it was.
Did you leave before we named it Tech TV?
Yep.
Wow. So we're talking 1998, 99.
Yep.
And you were, what was your job? You were on the web.
Yeah, I was the supervising producer of ZDTV.com.
Amy, it's great to see you. I see Amy all the time because Mark and Amy live in our little town of Petaluma, which is a kind of a nice coincidence.
That's awesome.
The most recent project you worked on, usually I start at the beginning and work forward, but let's work backward. Is this Bay Bridge Lights thing.
The Bay Lights.
Is so cool. And if you haven't been to San Francisco, you have another year or so to come see it. There are two famous bridges in San Francisco. The most famous, the Golden Gate Bridge. But there's one that leads to the East Bay area. It's called the Bay Bridge. It's almost the same age. It's I think 10 years younger.
No.
No?
It's actually 6 months older.
It's older?
Yeah. They're both 75 years old.
Gosh, that's kind of cool.
I know a lot about bridges now.
I bet you do. How did it come about that you got this project? How did that happen?
Well, I got a call from the person whose original idea of the Bay Lights stemmed from, is a man named Ben Davis. And he was working with Caltrans.
It reminds me almost like of a Christo or some sort of big public art project.
It's 1.8 miles long, 500 feet high, 25,000 LED lights, and we needed to raise about $8.5 million in a really short amount of time. And had
anybody done anything like this before?
No, never. It's the biggest LED light sculpture in the world. And so Ben had contacted Leo Villarreal, who's a very influential and important light artist. And about 6 months later, he reached out to me. And so together we started the legal entity, Illuminate the Arts, to be the presenting entity for this project. And I ran I'm the executive producer, so I ran the teams that got the permits and the technology. And
was San Francisco or Oakland, were they looking for this, or this just kind of?
No.
You went to them and said, "Hey, wouldn't it be interesting?"
Yeah, that's what Ben did. He said, "Hey, I've got this idea," and they kept saying, "Maybe as long as you can raise the money, and then maybe as long as you can provide the technology."
What's interesting, of course, is that this is the Bay, in fact, we're very close to the area where America's Cup is going on this summer. So it's kind of a nice tie-in to the America's Cup.
Absolutely. That was a big, actually, we were perceived as competition to the fundraising that was going on for the America's Cup because we were raising our money at the same time.
I think it's complimentary. So tell us about how this, because this is actually a fairly technical thing you're doing. What controls the lights?
We have two computers that are in the base. It's called W4, is the base island that was made, that's in the center of the west band of the Bay Bridge. And it's running some proprietary software of Leo Villarreal's, and he created these algorithms, the software that runs these algorithms that never repeat themselves.
Really? So it's not a repeating display. It's different. It's unique all the time.
It's unique all the time.
Wow.
And as we were talking about before, we've had some technical difficulties with the lights themselves. So Leo has
It's not as bright right now. If you saw it today,
yeah,
some of the lights are not on.
Leo's changed the algorithms because some of the lights have been impacted by the weather.
Yeah.
So we're in the process of changing them out. So he's changed the algorithm so you don't see any gaps.
It's just stunning if you get a chance to see it. And what's nice is that ferry boats go under this, tour boats go under this. It is and I've actually sailed under it on a ferry boat, and it's really dramatic. It's quite beautiful.
Thank you.
You can't really get. You got a great video here. It's hard to get pictures of it because it's.
It is, but it's interesting because obviously
You just have to enjoy it.
The social media aspect of it though has been
Right.
amazing. Our Instagram gallery is
neat.
amazing.
What's the hashtag? Bay Lights. Awesome.
And we've got a great, we're building our social presence, and we're really using it as a public art experiment. So you mentioned Christo, he was one of the first people who endorsed the project. And part of what he liked about it was the fact that we were going to be this magnificent piece of art, but we were going to be using media and technology to experiment around it.
Unlike Christo's stuff, this lasts 2 years, too. A lot of Christo's stuff, they take it down.
Yeah. It lasts 2 years, but Mayor Lee of San Francisco has already proclaimed that it's going to be permanent.
Is it?
Well, we're in the process.
You got to fund it because it's got to be maintained.
Yeah. So we're in the process
it
of.
should be permanent.
Yeah. So we'll see. And I gave a presentation to an international mayors conference in New Orleans a couple months ago, and literally mayors were jumping out of their seats saying, "I want it, I want it, I want it."
Right. Mark,
So-
were you involved in this at all, or you just watched Amy do the whole thing?
I was prominently in the background.
Mark is no stranger to public art, but a lot of Mark's public art not quite so popular with the civic authorities. Is that a fair description?
That's fair, at least in San Francisco, yeah.
Anybody who lived in San Francisco you've been doing this since 1978, but I think anybody who lived in San Francisco in the 80s and 90s knew that every once in a while a robot battle would break out. And it felt almost like it was secret almost, right?
Well, yeah, we had to, part of that is just
You can't tell people ahead of time.
Well, the type of places that we were able to get access to.
Right.
Which were like parking lots and, not actual places that are made for like big spectacles.
Right.
There was a limitation of how many people could see until things got anarchic to the point of being a threat to public order.
Right.
Like thousands of people climbing on every building in the vicinity.
Right.
And we saw that happen a couple times, and so that just reinforced the tendency to just keep it really quiet and wait until a couple days before to even really announce it. Maybe just put up posters a couple days before.
Yeah.
And we would always, and still to this day, we get capacity crowds wherever we go.
So you're still doing it?
Yes. The last show we did a big show in December of 2012 in Los Angeles as part of the Extreme Futures Festival.
I'll show a little bit. This is, if we get past the ad, there's probably a YouTube ad on this.
I don't do ads.
Yeah, but YouTube does. No, good. Okay. This is the Doom. This is the Doom show in 1994 in San Francisco.
Right.
How did you get the idea to do this? Is this what you started in 1978?
Yeah. Well, I went to college, so I had 4 years of not working. So I understood the value of not having a full-time job, and I appreciated it. But before I went to college, I worked for 2 years, and I worked doing all kinds of pretty high-tech manufacturing stuff for the military, for the oil fields in Santa Barbara. And, I learned how to make money, easily and to be able to get a job. That was my first...
It's a good skill to have.
Yeah, that was my first focus. I didn't want to be an artist who just worked at Burger King.
Right.
And so I learned how to do that, but by the time it was all over, and I'd gotten out of college, I said, you know what, I love all these tools and techniques and stuff, but I don't want to be making target robots for, F-111s to shoot at, which is what I used to do when I was... And so I decided to come up with something that took into account all my different interests, which was, anarchic kind of activity and, mechanical engineering and, advertising. And I just sat down, and over a period of 2 weeks, I came up with this idea that I would take, the detritus of manufacturing and the military cast-offs, and I would repurpose it to to just a completely impractical end and try to get that power and energy out there in the entertainment field as opposed to in killing people or making money for some CEO. And so I came up with that idea, and then I went, oh wait, I've got to be a corporation too, because
You don't
that's
want
how you
liability
really
either.
that's how you really get away with it.
Yeah.
And so what I did is I picked a name from a magazine ad in Soldier Fortune magazine where it was a fake ad in Soldier Fortune. They'd been having a problem in 78 with people putting weird ads in there with P.O. boxes. People would send money and they wouldn't get anything. Well,
Right.
I saw an ad for Survival Research Laboratories, and I
Love
said,
the name.
that is a fake ad. I'm never going to hear from these people again. So I stole the name, got a DBA in that name and a bank account in that name, and started doing the show.
What was your first show? Do you remember?
The first show was called Machine Sex, and that was in a gas station.
Good place to have things blow up.
That was in a gas station in North Beach. I didn't get permission. We just knew they were closed on Sunday, so it was St. Patrick's Day, 1979. And we just went there and unloaded a machine and started doing the show, getting ready for it, had the pyro out there. And then the owner of the gas station came up, and he goes, what are you doing in my gas station? And I said, we're just going to do this machine show here. I said, look. I said, here's $20. I had a $20 bill in my pocket in case there was any trouble. And I said, here's $20. Just like, you'll really like it. Just enjoy the show. And he just kind of looked at the money and looked at me, and he took the money and he just kind of went, and then he just sat and watched the show, never said a word.
Wow.
After the show, he walked away and he goes, you better clean up this. And so,
probably quite a
we
mess
swept.
after these.
There was a little bit of a mess.
Yeah.
And so we that was the first show.
So, that's definitely anarchic. I mean, it definitely has the feeling of you're not sure what's going to happen.
Well, anytime anytime you purposefully release that much energy and take that much time preparing for something and try to get it all to happen in a narrow framework of, real time, chaotic things happen.
So
no matter how organized you get it, it's like if you try to crowd 10,000 people into a closet,
Something's
it
gonna
gets
happen.
interesting, right?
Yeah.
That's why people.
That's part of the fun of
That's
it.
why people do the phone booth trick, right?
Right.
Because you never
It's
know what's
interesting.
going to happen,
Right.
That's what Twister's all about, right?
You never know.
So, just by default, you always end up with kind of a chaotic situation, and then
So you do plan these ahead of time.
I do, and they happen in urban settings. They happen in places where chaos is something that stands out.
Under freeway overpasses.
Yeah, like we don't do them out in the middle of the desert
Right.
like some people.
It's not Burning Man. We're not talking Burning
We're
Man.
not talking that. I'm not allowed to go to Burning Man.
Really?
Well, you can't bring a whole huge event to Burning Man. That's not permitted.
'Cause
It
in
has
the-
to be the theme of Burning Man. It's
Yeah.
like doing a show at Burning Man is like,
It's too tame for you.
yeah, it's like doing a show at Disneyland. You've got to do it with the theme of Disneyland. You've got to use the right elves, and all that stuff. If you don't, and the other thing is there are rules there now.
Right.
If you've ever been, I've never been there, but I know there's rules because I've heard about it. But you can't have projectile devices, which I have a number of. You can't have. Couldn't have the pitching machine, for instance, which we're working on upgrading this summer.
What does that do?
This is like about a 20-foot long machine that has two high-speed truck tires, and it's got a 500 cubic inch engine. Spins the tires at 200 miles an hour in opposite directions, and you push 2x4 boards that are 6 feet long at 2 boards a second, and they go 1,300 feet. And so you couldn't have that at Burning Man. But
You'd kill
on the other
somebody.
hand, paradoxically, that is the perfect place to have something like
In
that.
the
but
desert.
You couldn't have it.
Yeah.
You couldn't have that. You can't have liquid flamethrowers. Like you can have. It's all about propane flamethrowers. You can't have
yeah.
diesel
Taking
flamethrowers that
all
look
the
like
fun out of it.
jungle flamethrowers.
Here's the pitching machine. So this is based on the pitching machines that you would see at a batting cage.
Well, loosely.
But a lot bigger.
Yeah, you
And you're
can
not
see
shooting
here we're
baseballs.
shooting some at a party at Ace Auto.
And so you're shooting it into stuff.
They're going. We're toned down a little. We're going about 120 miles an hour in here, but at a full 200 miles an hour, it's amazing. They'll go right through a 3/16 steel plate. You can get the same effect as a tornado
Oh,
pushing
yeah,
a 2x4 I'm convinced that if you had the right tree, and if you had the right 2x4, you could impale a tree with a 2x4.
Have you been?
I wouldn't
working on
do that.
You wouldn't want to do that.
But I'm just saying, I think you could do it.
Amy, when you met Mark, did you know that this was his passion?
I did.
She was forced to work with me by
was.
Lewis and Jane at Wired magazine.
Yeah, that's another thing we should mention, that Amy was employee 6, you said, at Wired, now 20 years ago.
Oh my God, right?
Is there going to be a 20th anniversary?
Yeah, this Saturday we're having our
how
20-year anniversary
fun.
party. Yeah, but so Lewis and Jane did order me to meet Mark, and we met at SIGGRAPH
Oh, yeah.
in, 1996, 7, something like that. Eric Paulos.
1995.
Eric Paulos, yeah.
In the summer of
The year-
summer at SIGGRAPH.
The year Jerry Garcia
1995.
died.
And there's nothing, oh, yeah, who could forget? And there's nothing so romantic as a guy who could fire a 2x4 at 120 miles
Oh, yeah,
an
no,
hour.
I was
I didn't
not
have
at all
that at
interested.
the time.
1,300 feet.
That happened later.
Yeah, but then, so what happened was,
I
so...
built that when she was married to somebody else.
Exactly.
He's gone now.
Well, so what happened was we did my last Wired event. Mark performed and at the Sound Factory in San Francisco, and we had a band in from Africa. And
Fun.
Wired had really amazing Macworld parties every year.
Yes.
Hopefully you joined us.
I
And,
did, I remember.
I produced all the first years of them, and so SRL had its own room. I almost shut down the entire party because the structural integrity of the building got damaged, but
I hate it when that happens.
But Mark convinced them that it didn't. So
There's
all
a
that
video
worked-
of that online.
Yeah. all
Is
that
there?
worked
Is it on
out.
your YouTube?
It
Some of
is,
these,
yeah.
all these videos are available at
look up
youtube.com/.
Wired Party.
Survival Research Lab.
But part of our family lore is, because I had seen Mark's stuff and I wasn't at all attracted to his aesthetic at the time, in Research Magazine and this
What are you gonna
stuff
do?
with the animals and stuff. And so I said on the phone, I said, oh, by the way, Mark, I'm like, no dead animals in the show, please. And he said, okay. And he hung up the phone. And he was with one of his crew members, Lisa Pine, and he said, get the dead cats. And he made me a dead cat tree.
We went to the we went
That
to
is
the.
honor.
truly disgusting.
I know.
I
isn't it?
actually just said get to the tunnels because
Ozzy,
the
get
train-
out of here. Go away. Run, Ozzy. Run while you still can. My dog is.
It's all PETA approved because
running dead.
what it was back in the 80s, a friend of mine who stayed up all night for days in a row came to the shop one morning at 5 in the morning, just muttering about the train tunnels full of dead animals, mummified animals. And we went, yeah, right, And so we went there and looked. And all of the tunnels in San Francisco, animals go into there and they get disoriented and
Right.
the trains
They
hit
kick
them.
them out.
But because it's
Jeez.
dry and there's air going through it
Right.
continuously, they mummify like the Mexican mummy caves. And so you have these perfectly mummified animals. They're already cut in half. You don't even have to do anything to them. They're all dry. And it takes about 7 or 8 years. So every 7 or 8 years we would go and harvest them. And being very careful.
so romantic.
And so
we-
being the producer saying, don't do something, of
no
course, the
dead
first thing
cats.
he said was...
He says, okay, no, we won't do
Yeah.
that.
So it took another 10 years.
Here's
How
the
long,
video.
Karen,
This
was
is-
it? Then another 10 years.
This is the party. It's kind of hard to make out. It's a little murky. I don't know if we'll see a dead cat tree.
We want to get to the part where the people are in the box getting slammed by the spine robot.
When is that?
Well,
you
that
have
was
a
another
time code?
moment.
Another moment in that video.
Yeah, and Jane Metcalf was in the center of the box when it was getting
Really?
smashed. Yeah, oh yeah. She couldn't have been happier. She loved it.
She did.
Oh yeah.
So
Jesus.
it's art, right?
Boom.
That-
See
that-
There you
box
go.
there.
There you go. They're in that box. Now, fortunately, they're safe in that box, right?
I was, half-inch bulletproof plastic. We made it.
As safe as it could
We made
be.
it safe enough that we could do it for several hours without injuring anybody. Or
That is scary. Is that part of your goal? Is to strong emotions, to stimulate strong emotions?
the goal is to the goal is to get a performance that's staged using machines.
Yeah.
They have a very narrow range of emotive
There's cats.
capabilities. The goal is to get. There's some cats
the
right there.
cats.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
The goal is to create a show that's comes off as a contiguous event with a bunch of these machines that have a limited acting abilities. And so to do that, to be able to
personify them in a way.
To pull people into it, there's all kinds of tricks that happen when they're built.
Look, there's John Perry Barlow.
Oh,
That's right.
laughing at
Right at the front.
So there's all sorts of tricks. You make them look really strange. You make them, the way that they move, very kind of unpredictable and kind of unfamiliar to people. You have a lot of really loud noises. You have a lot of really things that happen really fast or simultaneously. And if you put enough of those things together at the same time, people will come away and go, "Oh, that was a show. Like that was like a theater.
Yeah,
that was like another world they created with machines."
Plexiglass falling apart.
Nope, not Lexan. And so,
okay.
and put people inside of a box and slam it. I mean, every show is different. Every show it's a different location. It requires a different approach to make that happen. And then to further add to the confusion, we build new machines every year. So every time there's a show, there's new equipment that we don't really understand how to completely use. And so
these are controlled
you put it together and see what happens.
A human operator is controlling this, a remote control?
Some of the things in there were being controlled by computer. Most of them were being controlled by human operators.
Yeah. And the goal here is to put these people in the box feel like this thing is going for them, right?
Well, that was one of the things that was happening there, yeah.
Technically, it is going for them.
It actually is.
Yeah.
Well, the goal isn't to injure people. We've never injured anybody.
Well, you've injured yourself, as is obviously.
But that wasn't a show. That was the preparing part.
That's
is
actually
far
more
more dangerous than. Oh,
Interesting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
we work with, because it's all, the tools are, they're not like a shop tools. They're industrial factory tools.
Right.
And you've heard about factory accidents.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When you're drilling a hole with a machine that weighs 7,000 pounds and you make a mistake, you might not live to regret it.
Did you get somebody in the chat room wants to know if you had John Barry Barlow sign a waiver?
No.
No.
Now, waivers are, on the advice of my lawyer, we don't ever do waivers.
Really?
Yeah, because if you do a waiver, you're in this kind of a show, then you're already admitting that something's not safe. So I've always been told by numerous lawyers across the...
There he is.
There's John Perry. He's having a great time.
Across the lawyer spectrum, that you don't have people sign waivers.
How interesting. And you've never lost an audience member?
We've never injured anybody to
never
the point
hurt anybody.
Well, very minor scrapes
scratches,
or very minor, yeah.
But you're using, you can see here, there's is that liquid natural gas? What is that?
That's propane.
Propane.
That's a jet engine that was running there, so it had some liquid propane or something. I don't know. I think a line broke or something.
But the audience is going crazy.
Clapping. Yeah,
they're loving it.
Yeah.
Nobody, when you see one of these things, it's very visceral.
It's easy to make it look. Well, if you're, when accidents happen, it's usually because people aren't expecting them. When you do these shows, you're always on the lookout for anything to happen. So we're primed to stop accidents from getting worse. And the people who are working on the show,
like that propane line,
we have some very, very skilled people who are working on these performances. Some of the most probably prized engineers and scientists and artists in the Bay Area here.
And I bet you're dying to do this, too.
And some of them have been working on these shows since the early 80s.
What fun.
The same people. So we're pretty good at it by now.
The police are shutting you down right now on this
just San
video.
Francisco.
Yeah.
Not anywhere else.
Really? It's the only place you get shut down?
The only place we have a problem. And it's not the police. The police love us, and they've always been really supportive in San Francisco. It's just the fire department, and it's not even really because of what we do. It's just because of, it's actually a personal vendetta, because there was a national network show that had us on there, and the fire department felt that we embarrassed them, and they told us we couldn't do shows after we embarrassed them. That's actually the crux of the whole thing.
Maybe just say you're sorry, and then...
I've tried to say I'm sorry.
We didn't mean to embarrass you.
They have a long memory. I was told just a year ago by somebody who's in the fire department that the fire department in San Francisco still talks about how crazy, the crazy things that SRL used to do in town, and that they'll never let, but I've got a plan. I've got a plan. I was asked by the rabbi of the main rabbi in San Francisco to have the spine robot light the menorah, the 25-foot tall menorah in Union Square,
Awesome.
December 5th. So we'll see.
We'll see if that happens.
We'll see if that happens.
This is
or
at
not,
the
but
invitation of the rabbi.
This is the invitation
Come
of
on.
the rabbi.
What is the spine robot?
The spine robot is a 11-foot long, very flexible robot that's designed to throw things or light menorahs. And it's on a base. It's mobile. There should be some.
I've got a
there's
little
some
video.
videos of it on there.
I
Yeah.
got a little video here.
But it's something that I worked on for a number of years off and on.
And this is your lab here in Petaluma, isn't it? Your,
This is,
shop,
yeah.
I guess.
This was at circa 2012 anyway. It's always changing. There's always new machines and new equipment coming in. But yeah, that's the spine robot. That's the spine part of it.
Right.
And,
How do you get your ideas?
getting ideas is easy. You know, the
It's
hard
making it
part
work.
is figuring out how to make it happen.
Right.
That's the.
So what was the
know,
idea for this?
The
You wanted an articulated spine with a
The idea
claw.
is that I heard about this type of rope. It's a type of rope that the military was using to replace steel cable, and it was much like twice as strong as steel cable. But the real bugaboo for a tendon type robot, which is what this is that the actuator tendon material, which is usually steel cable, it will saw through a bushing. You can see that there's 5 cables in there, and the cables pass through these titanium bushings, but the cable is it's plastic rope that feels like a steel cable. It floats on water. It's twice as strong as the same size steel cable.
But it's soft enough that
It
it
can do
doesn't-
2 million. It's rated for 2 million 80% load cycles.
Wow.
And a load cycle is 24,000 pounds.
Holy moly.
So you can lift up 20,000 pounds with it 2 million times. Wow. And so it's essentially has, for the purposes of a show, we've run it about 8 hours, slamming it around for 8 hours, and I can see no wear on the device now, which is pretty good for an SRL machine. And what you're seeing now is just the spine. Now it has a whole remote-controlled base, and that's how we used it in the show in December 2012.
So when you're going to light the menorah, you'll have it trundle out.
It can go up 14 feet as it is, and then what we'll do is we'll have another forklift underneath it, and we'll raise it up another 15 feet, so it'll go up there, and it can, it's very accurate when it's in the straight down and up to 10 degrees in any direction from straight down. You can run it like a regular robot. When it goes higher than that, it turns into kind of more of an arty thing. It's
In other words, it's out
not
of
controllable in the same way. Well, it looks pretty. It hypnotizes. It's more like
It's really
hypnotizing.
cool looking. I
It's
love it.
Hypnotizing your victim kind of a
Yeah.
when it goes up higher.
And will
than
it
that.
hold a little match in its
It'll hold
claw?
it'll hold a small. I have a type of flamethrower I use that uses diesel fuel, and so it compresses the diesel fuel and it goes out of a thing called a vortex nozzle, which was early ICBM technology for vaporizing the kerosene, and so you get a mist of heavy fuel, and that's easy to light. You add a lot of air with it, and you get a very bright, hot flame. And so I'll make a very small one of those. I have ones that are powered by V8 engines that make 70 or 80-foot flames that we have for shows. But in this case, I want to make a very small one that makes a 1 or 2 foot flame that this can hold in the end of its actuator.
Cool. So you still have the claw.
It'll be very bright. It'll be too bright to look at.
Wow.
White, like a white,
Wow.
in the 2,800 or 3,000 degree range.
Is the rabbi a fan? Does he know what you're...
Well, the rabbi was tipped off by Ken Goldberg, who was is a professor at UC Berkeley, who's an old friend of mine.
That's neat. So he
who
knows
does a
what
lot
he's-
of art and technology, big art and technology
That's cool.
projects that he does.
That's fair. This is art and
And he does
technology,
real, hardcore engineering, nanotech engineering, and all kinds of stuff. He writes a lot of papers on the real thing, but he also does, he balances his skill applications out.
Does Mark come home, Amy, and say, I'm going to build a spine robot claw?
I think that's what
Yes.
I said, yeah.
Doc Ock.
Yeah.
Somebody's saying it's kind of like Doc Ock in the Spider-Man.
Well,
It
then
only
he-
takes a couple seconds to get the ideas. That's the thing.
But now he and our son talk about it first.
Your son's here. How old is he?
Jake Eddy. He's 8.
Jake Eddy is the luckiest 8-year-old in the world.
He is.
Every 8-year-old, most 8-year-olds who got Legos or
Come here,
an
boy.
Erectus set, you get to build giant, destructive, explosive robots. Do you
Yeah.
make him wear a helmet?
He's very safe at the shop.
He's very safe.
Good.
He can run through that shop at full speed on a scooter, and there'll be stuff sticking out and all kinds of things to run into, and he'll never.
Not even touch.
He won't even come close.
That's
to
awesome.
it.
This kid's-
Somebody in the chat room wants to know if you have you used 3D printers to create parts.
We use all CNC equipment probably
It's all CNC.
since 2000. Everything's pretty much gets done on the major
Metal.
majority of the work gets done on the CNC machines, and it's assembly of all the stuff. So you draw the parts in SolidWorks or in the CAD program that talks to the machines, and then you just basically print them out of steel or whatever.
Wow.
I have a big, the big enclosed machines that look like BART cars.
This is the spine robot.
Those parts
Gorgeous.
were all made on.
Beautiful.
They're just drawn on the computer and basically printed out. Yeah. 3D printing is for
Toys.
3D printing. It's either for like the Fortune 500 companies, like Boeing,
Right.
or Pratt and Whitney or something,
Right.
or
But you can
Rolls
mill
Royce.
anything you can imagine.
Well you can, but unless you
can.
have a selective laser sintering,
Right.
laser sintering machine, then you're not going to be building anything out of metal.
Our next show is going to be, by the way, we're taking a walk down the street.
Absolutely.
I really want to go
Just a
in
couple
there.
blocks away.
Yeah.
That's right.
We're talking to Mark Pauline and Amy Critchett, Survival Research Labs, SRL.org, if you want to visit their website. And all the videos you're seeing are on YouTube, youtube.com/Survival Research Labs. We'll talk more about those projects in just a bit. Our show brought to you today by Shutterstock, the place to go with over 26 million images. You might say, how will I ever find the image I'm looking for? That's the beauty of Shutterstock.com. They have the most amazing search engine that you can use for inspiration, as well as illustrating your blog or your presentation or your video or movie. If you're looking for illustrations, stock photos, vector art, video clips, Shutterstock's got it for you. Not only 26 million, but they're adding 10,000 images every day. Actually, somewhere on here there's a great little stats thing. Yeah, they have 27,693,375 royalty-free stock images this week. They're overachievers. They've added an average of 20,000 new images a day this week alone. Shutterstock.com. That Spectrum tool is really fun. It lets you not only search for what you want, but to narrow it down by color. You can also create, and it's free to make an account on here. You don't need a credit card or anything. You can make a light box with ideas. So this is a featured light box. I'm not sure what Viva la Vector is looking for, but this is all vector art. Shutterstock's so much fun. Get the iPad app. It's Webby Award winning, and it's really, really fun to play with. 1.1 million royalty-free stock videos as well. They've got a number of plans. If you decide that you want it, you've got to have this image. I've got to have it. Then use our offer code Triangulation7 and you'll get 30% off any package. They have image packages. They have subscriptions. I have the 25 images a day subscription, which is overkill for me, but I love it. For your blog, and also just to get inspiration. You look at pictures, you go, oh yeah, that's a great idea. Truly global. Their offices are in more than a dozen countries: Germany, China, Italy, Brazil, Belgium, and so on. They speak all the languages of the globe. Multi-language customer service. Dedicated corporate reps if you're a big business, and full-time customer support throughout the week. Shutterstock.com. Try it free. You don't need a credit card, but if you decide to buy, please use our offer code Triangulation7 and you'll get 30% off on your new account at Shutterstock. Talking with my old friend from ZD TV. Gosh, I don't say that very often. Amy Critchett. Her son, Jake Eddy. And Mark Pauline, who is of Survival Research Labs, dangerous and disturbing mechanical presentations since 1979. And you can make a living doing this?
No, I can't. I spent a lot of money doing this with no return.
So do you get...
But to me, I think it's a good investment. It's like one of those kind of investments that just takes slowly builds up over a lifetime, and then, you know.
Are you kidding? You're a legend. You're a legend.
Well, I have never sold anything. I've never sold one
You don't
machine
sell these, so
ever.
so people couldn't. I couldn't
Well,
say
no,
I want a spine
you
machine.
You could, but no one's ever asked me to buy anything.
I want
Not
one.
yet. You can buy one.
What should we get?
I'll sell it
for the studio.
I've got dozens. I've got the full. I'm the only person in the world with the complete collected works of SRL.
You don't. Oh, come on! After a while, you take something apart and you put it in a parts
No,
bin.
and then we keep.
You've saved
all
everything.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things like props and sets that don't
But
get
the
saved.
machines get saved.
But the machines that are, have a certain amount of energy goes into them, and even the props, if they're interesting and they don't get completely destroyed, they just. I've got them all. I've got 100 tons of them up there.
I wouldn't mind this.
Sitting
We
there.
could have this walking around the studio. Burke says we should get a V1. What's a V1?
I can make those too.
What is that?
The V1 is the V1 is the buzz bomb from World War II.
Oh, that
fame.
V1.
But I made a full size one back in 1990, and it's on a mobile base, so it drives around. And your average V1, you can't just start it and stop it. You wouldn't want to do a show where the V1 just ran continuously for 45 minutes.
It's a rocket engine.
It's a buzz bomb engine, but it's a
What's a buzz? What's the
buzz
difference?
bomb is it's a jet engine.
It's a jet engine.
Yeah, it's an impulse type engine,
Yeah.
pulse jet engine.
Right.
And so, but it's a full size one, so it's got a lot of, it's very loud, and the bigger they are, the lower the frequency. So the frequency is 40 hertz, which is just above what a person can hear. It sounds like thunder. And so it's on a mobile base, remote controlled, so you can drive it around. You can drive it up to something and then blast it, and you can turn it off and on. It's got instead of just a regular pulse jet where you start it with a blower and leave it running, it's got a 460 cubic inch V8 engine that runs an 8-stage supercharger, like a huge supercharger, and that lets you rev it up and turn it on for a few seconds and turn it off, or turn it on for however long you want and turn it off reliably. And so by remote control. So that's very handy in shows. It's an outgrowth of my research into sound weapons that I was doing in 1989, making these big whistles and stuff. And
so
friend of
sound's a
mine,
part of this too. That's interesting.
sound is a big part of it. There's a lot of very loud noises, and still to this day we're making new sound things. We just made a whistle, jet-powered whistle for the last show in December, which is a big, a special whistle. A regular whistle, you blow into it,
jet-powered
and
whistle.
it stops making loud noise, and the pitch changes at a certain point if you blow hard enough.
Right.
Well, this is a whistle that's like 6 feet long, but it's a design, the harder you blow into it, the louder it gets. So we were able to get, with a 200-pound thrust engine, we're able to get 139 decibels out of it at 156 hertz. And it's a really interesting experience because on a V1 or a jet engine, there's a wide frequency range of sounds you're getting. So you're not feeling a single node of sound, a single frequency. But on a whistle, it's a tuned chamber, and there's no overtone. So it really is just straight 156 hertz. But at that sound level, what happens is you walk in front of it, the whistle.
You feel it.
If you feel like a piece of paper is being crumpled up into a ball. That's the only way I can describe it. It's like
Would it damage your hearing though?
no, because it's such low frequency, and of course we wear earplugs.
Right.
But it's frequency's that low. If you wear earplugs, you're not going to get ear damage. When you get up in the 300 and 400 hertz, those are very dangerous for you physically, and also for your. I did a lot of research on the danger of sound fields. I talked to Federal Signal, who make the big sirens, and they told me where to draw the line, how high you can go before it starts killing people. Because
they're sound weapons.
Well, they told me a number of times when their sirens had killed people by accident.
Well, not
killed animals
terrible.
when they were testing them. So but those are certain frequency ranges,
Right.
and you just
139 hertz is a good.
156 is safe.
156
Around
is safe.
250 and above can be quite dangerous.
Wow.
Yeah, we ran a 300 hertz horn that was 5 kilowatts one time, and we were standing around watching it with our earphones on, and one of the guys got a nosebleed, Somebody else got a nosebleed.
Oh, no.
Somebody came running out of the building next door. They had a nosebleed.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, shut it down.
That's not good.
It was not.
People are hemorrhaging.
We never ran that again. But that was the capillaries in your nasal cavity
Breaking.
Resonating so hard that they broke.
Holy camole.
So.
Wow. You must get a little perverse pleasure, though, when things like that happen.
Well, I get a perverse pleasure when things like happen and nobody gets hurt.
Right. It's just a little bloody nose. No, it's not a
But,
big deal.
like the thrill of when,
Look at this.
when
Look
you
at this
almost
thing,
get
this
in an
block.
accident.
I'm going to go back a little bit because this is an early show in San Francisco.
Under the freeway.
Yeah, under the freeway. There's a piano. Look at this block going right up to the audience, and then dropping. Terrifying.
And notice how it fell to the inside, too. It didn't roll towards the audience.
Was that planned?
Well, Doug Sutton was driving us, so you'd have to ask him. But he's pretty good. He's a pretty sharp engineer, level-headed guy.
Kind of like a haunted house, or I mean,
many companies.
this is what every Jake, Eddie, you must think this is kind of cool, right? It's your usual. He says it's my usual, so it's not cool. That's a drill on the end of that thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can just. I remember. I might have been at this show. This looks really familiar. You don't forget this. It really makes an impression on people when you see this stuff. What is in that chipper? What is in that wood chipper? Is that cabbage?
That was we got a bunch of food from the produce market, kind of rotten, several-day-old food, and we made a cornucopia.
So you're working with smells as well as sounds.
Well, in that case, yeah. Sometimes way more extreme smells than this.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, once we made a guy, Scott Fickus, who was a chemical engineer. He's retired now, but he made a piano that was a smell piano. He got these chemicals. I don't know if you know of a chemical called cadaverine, and smells like
I can guess what it would smell like.
So he had cadaverine and all these other horrible smelling chemicals, and then he had perfume essences, and so he was hitting the keyboards, and it would release the smells into the exhaust of a jet engine that was going towards the audience. So literally at a certain point, people just started vomiting at this show in 1998 in the city. It was really pretty bad. And the wind was blowing away from. I never even smelled
That's
really
Mark,
anything
by the way, right there.
when I was young.
Do you you have no trouble getting volunteers to help you out on these, I'm sure.
Well, I have Ryan here, Ryan Larson here, who is actually an intern.
He has all 10 of his fingers. I'll vouch
He's
for
an intern. He's been here all summer.
So far.
We've been working on a number of different machines, but he's a mechanical engineering intern at California Maritime.
This is heaven
Academy.
for a mechanical engineer, right? You're working with interesting stuff and learning from, obviously.
It's not book learning.
Yeah, and in your head, though, Mark, I think you must by now have a great sense of what can be done, what can't be done. I would imagine that when you think of something, you can almost instantly kind of see how you would do it.
Well, I think that's not exactly the way to describe it. I know enough to do the things I want to do, but I don't know enough. I'm not enough of a book engineer that I don't know what I can't do. And that's
good.
really good because I look at these things and I go, well, that seems like that would work. And of course, to anybody else and to my engineer friends, they go, that's never going to work. Like I talk to people about that spine rub, and they're like, that's never going to work. That's crazy. It's going to be all unstable. How are you going to control it? What's going to happen? Like there's going to be all sorts of sharp loads in there, and they kind of threw all this errata at me, and I just kind of went, you know what? I don't know. I don't know that, and I'm just going to make it, and I'll spend a couple years on it, and it'll either work or it won't. But
I got
it to work.
I bet you're learning a lot. What a great internship.
I got it to work.
You
That's
got to more than
many,
work.
many times.
It's
so
gorgeous.
You don't want to know too much.
It is a gorgeous thing.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite?
No, I kind of look at them all. It's kind of more. I'm more of the hive mind kind of mentality. I kind of believe that they're all sort of part of one. One unifying
entity, huh?
unified force, and so I like them all in different ways a lot.
They do. Do they feel to you that
I
they're
like them
persona?
really. I like them a lot better when they're done.
Yeah.
I don't like them as much when they're not done.
Yeah. Do you anthropomorphize your machines?
Well, that's part of. I characterize them.
Characterize
because that's the way that you pull people into the drama of the shows.
Do you name them?
Yeah.
Like human
The
names?
spine robot, really.
Well, that's a
really
name, but-
perfunctory name. Well, that's the name of it.
But not Charlie.
No. No, it doesn't. It doesn't work like that.
You save that for the cars.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have a real. It's not personal.
It's not personal.
No,
okay.
it's not
That's
personal.
I guess that's kind of what I was asking. And you're still doing these shows. You haven't slowed down. I mean,
No, I mean I was always looking for opportunities to do shows. It's just, you know, all those videos that are available, you know, for download or for years we would sell them, you know, and you know it's like people kind of know what they're going to get, and for a lot of people that's what we give is not what there's not many people that want it.
it's not Cirque du
You know?
Soleil.
It's not Cirque du Soleil. It's not really family entertainment, although
Well, it's kind of family
families
entertainment.
have come and been entertained, but you know that's a sideline. That's incidental.
You're not going for the
So,
family,
no,
the
not
family
really.
crowd.
But you know, I mean, we you know, ideally, I'd like to do 1 or 2 shows a year. We usually we do at least 1 show a year at one
Is that
point or
it
another.
takes you that long to prep a show?
No, I could do a couple a year.
Okay,
But
so it takes
uh,
6 months.
But
to
it's
prep a
also, you know, the money. You know, it's hard for the people.
Yeah,
that,
how do you raise
it's
money?
Well,
Do
the
you-
people that tend to like the shows tend to be very poor, or they don't have a lot of money.
Right.
You know, I don't really have the Richie Richardsons out there. Don't seem too impressed by SRL. They're not flocking to my door to.
I'm surprised the U.S.
bringing, like,
military
truckloads
hasn't
of money.
come and asked you for some.
No,
advice.
they don't. They don't ask people. They don't ask people that are doing things that are of no use to them.
What was that thing with the tube? Remember that was.
I mean, the people that are in the Defense Department, are in the, you know, making weapons systems. I know some of them. You know, they know what we do. I mean, one funny thing is Mark Rabert, who does Boston Dynamics. Some of the SRL people have applied there, and so he knows. But I've met him before. I've been in his lab and stuff. I've done, you know.
It seems similar.
And so he built this dog, the big dog, and he put an arm on it a couple months ago, and he had it throwing a cinder block. And I saw the video the day it came out, and I was like, wait a minute,
That's mine.
That's my territory.
That's me.
And so we made a video of the spine robot throwing a cinder block further than the big dog. So, and I just put that up, and so my friend who knows people at Boston Dynamics sent a link to Mark Rabert, and he looked at it. He thought it was funny. He sent it out to a bunch of other people. But then I guess another friend of mine works at Boeing. He does weapons research at Boeing. And he said Mark Rabert came there, and the first thing he talked about to all the people at Boeing was about how SRL made a parody video of his $20 million robot
They made a
throwing a
parody.
cinder block. And he thought it was, so I mean, you know, there's some, but that's the level of,
Right.
you know, it's
Right.
they don't take me any more serious than I take them.
There you go. It's a mutual, whatever.
But I love that stuff. I mean,
How
I
does the art
appreciate
world
that.
react to you?
I don't know. I don't really feel like I'm really part of the art
This
world.
is art.
You have to kind of have your finger on the pulse of the art world to know what the art world thinks.
there's that. But
It's kind of a
this is
catch-22.
clearly art. I mean, look at these pigs.
Well, you know, we don't have that much. We don't really have much interaction with the art world. We kind of have, you know, other than through a back
No
door.
gallery shows.
No, it's
No.
a backdoor entry.
Yeah.
Well, yes,
we do-
and
we
I
do
mean, you
get
were in
some.
LA MoCA a
MoCA,
couple years
yeah.
ago, but having just worked with a contemporary artist on
Right.
the Bay Lights,
Real artist.
No. I think
mean,
Mark's a real artist.
Everyone is in love.
They know. They
Yes,
know this
yeah,
is art.
absolutely, and they're in awe and awe, you know, and awed by the whole thing.
And it's unique. What's great is it's unique. You're doing your thing.
Yeah, and Mark gets, and he's, you know, very humble, but I mean, he gets propositioned all the time, certainly by crappy TV and things like
Oh
that.
yeah, I'm sure Robot Wars would love.
Yeah.
Or MythBusters
And
would
a lot
love.
of, like, you know, commercial entities, and Mark has a great pat response that his, you know, $250,000 a day with a 4-day minimum, you know, and that kind of
That's fair.
shuts down
Well, not that much.
all
fair.
the Bravo conversations.
Mark doesn't get up for.
I'm much more reasonable than that.
Well,
Yeah, let's
depends.
not price him out of the market.
Yeah.
But to your point about, you know, I mean, and when you come over and see, you'll see, you know, Mark has this incredible collection of machines, and when Joey Ito took over the
MIT Media
Lab,
yeah.
I sent him an email right away, and Jake Eddy, I think, was 3 at the time.
Joy's got to be a fan.
Oh, yeah, totally. And with,
Yeah.
with a picture of Jake Eddy, and I said, congratulations on your new position. Here's your next MIT, in 15 years, you'll be seeing this kid at MIT, and we'll.
Go to Cal.
But he wants to go to Cal, which is cool.
Today, anyway.
But
Why
we're willing
Cal?
we're
Why
willing to
Cal?
barter with machines.
Or UCLA? Why? Just to be closer to home? No snow.
UCLA because basketball. And
Oh,
Cal
basketball.
close to
Yeah.
home. And
That's good. You want to keep that up. He
Yeah.
won't, though, in 10 years, you know.
I know.
It'll be, see ya.
But we'll barter machines.
I'm
for
going to
tuition.
Boston. There you go. There you go.
That's our.
Well,
that's our
all right.
college
Part
fund.
2 of this, we're gonna go and we're gonna see, and
We can run some machines for you.
can you
Yeah.
really?
Yep.
You have a big enough space that you could.
We
Well, I
have a
saw the
whole-
arm.
There's a whole yard outside that we
Oh,
can
great.
run stuff in. There's a big area.
Oh,
out in
can
the
we do
back.
that, Burke?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And we'll get and Burke will get you a V1. Yeah,
I can't
with
run
a
the V1,
whistle.
but I can run one of several jet engines for you.
With a whistle. I want a
Yeah.
big whistle on it. Amy and Mark, so great to see you. Jake Eddy, nice to see you too. Good luck with Cal. I think that could be very, very good place for you.
They've got good robotics and basketball.
Yeah.
That's a good.
Would you like to do robots? Are you interested in robots? Yeah, because these are not. Well, some of these are autonomous.
Well, no, not in the. Well, we have done some. Yeah,
But most of them are-
We've done
they have-
some AI kind of programmed
Right.
machines in the past, but
Yeah.
generally they're either local computer control
Right.
sequences, simple sequences, or they're controlled by
I
remote
see
control.
you've been playing with the drone cameras.
We have, yeah, I have been doing
So
that.
have we. That's cool.
Yeah, we're getting a few more of them this summer.
Yeah,
But,
these are really neat. Which kinds are you using?
Well, right now, just to mess around with, that's just a Phantom, but they're nice camera platforms.
They're so stable.
Yeah,
Look at that.
they work pretty good. And
Yeah.
then I'm getting a bunch of probably 4 or 5
That's
ones
the one we
that you
have,
can,
right? Yeah.
you can send on a mission, multiple waypoints and stuff. So,
All right, maybe we could work together. Maybe we got our drone, you got your drone.
Mostly to attract attention and pull people, like Pied Pipers, like drone Pied Pipers, to pull people into a show area.
And then,
I'm trying to pitch it to Google, see if
They
they'll
can't
hire
get
me
out.
to do shows on their campus.
do you have a show planned? Any?
Yeah, the next show looks like it's going to be in UC San Diego. There's a group show called Autonomous, and so it's a collaborate. It's being produced by the art department and the mechanical engineering department, and there's a number of artists involved. I'm one of them, and they want us to do a show on the campus there, like not a big show, but still a pretty
Cool.
interesting show, I think. Good size show.
Old man Coinbits in our chat room wants to know what kind of remotes you use.
We use, for the last few years, we get industrial remotes, which are like from the brand, like Teleradio or Hetronic. Those are the big names that in the remote. They're typically for controlling industrial equipment like cranes or
Wow.
or excavators.
Are they wireless?
They're wireless, yeah.
Yeah.
They're 900 megahertz spread spectrum and with security and coding so people can't hack into them. And
Right. Yeah,
But-
you wouldn't want that.
no, you wouldn't want that. We've
No.
never had that happen, but the older machines do use like old,
RC stuff.
RC stuff. We build the custom back ends, electronic back ends for them.
What fun. It's just fun. SRL.org if you want to know more. Or, there's a link there to upcoming shows, so you can find out about the UCSD show. You can also go to youtube.com/Survival Research Labs. Amy, I guess you're going to go to the Wired party on Saturday. What fun.
Yes, indeed.
20th anniversary. Will Lewis be there?
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah?
gonna be at Cho. It's gonna be at Lewis's.
Oh,
and
that's
Jane's
right.
Chocolate Company.
Lewis, okay, then this is the wildest thing. Lewis and Jane, after Wired, after they left Wired and they sold it to Condi, started a chocolate company.
Yep.
TCHO.
Yep.
It's really good
It's
chocolate.
really good chocolate.
Really are they in, what is it, Utah, Colorado? Where are they?
It's on Pier 15.
It's here. It's in
Yeah.
San Francisco.
Yeah, I mean Pier 17.
Oh,
They have a whole
great.
factory there.
Yeah.
They take it from the beans to.
They're not a remelter.
No.
Amy
Matt
taught me
Heckert,
this.
So that's all. Matt Heckert, who used to be Mark's partner, is their chief mechanical engineer there.
Really? There's a
build a
lot of
factory.
engineering going into chocolate
yeah.
manufacture?
Well, you got to make the production line work.
Build a factory.
So beans in, chocolate out.
Yep.
I think we might want to visit them too.
Absolutely.
We'll get a V1 for Burke and some Cho for me.
They just released a gift box that's got the Bay Lights on it.
Oh, neat.
It's a beautiful co-branding
really
experience.
neat. And yes, if you can get to San Francisco soon, go look at the Bay Bridge. You can see it from the waterfront, and it's just something to see. It's gorgeous. The best way to see it is on a ferry. Get a ferry to to AT&T Park, and you can see. You go right under the lights, and that is thebaylights.org.
Yes.
If you want to know more about that, thebaylights.org. Amy Critchett, thank you so much. Mark Pauline, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jake Eddy, thank you so much. Don't run into anything in that shop, okay?
No, he's very
when
careful.
you ride around in your scooter, okay?
About once or twice.
We're going to come by and visit you, okay? And we're going to see what you do.
He
Thanks
can run
for-
a machine for you.
Can you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. You have gosh, you are lucky. I know it's every day for you, but you are lucky. That's every kid's dream. Go blow something up. Thanks for joining us. We do Triangulation every Wednesday afternoon, about 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. That is 2300 UTC on twit.tv. Please watch. If you can't watch live, though, don't worry. We have on-demand audio and video available after the fact, twit.tv/TRI. And, of course, you can always subscribe. That way you won't miss a single episode. Always great stuff. Next week, we have, I don't know, I think it's going to be not such a good show. This was a good one. Next week's not going to be as good, but you should tune in. Tom Merritt and Sarah Lane will interview me because it is the 2nd anniversary next week of
Congratulations.
our studio. So we're having our own little party. Not quite 20 years, but
Fantastic.
for us, 2 is good. So tune in next week for Triangulation. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.